Hi, I'm Kristine McGlinchey-Yap. Thank you so much for joining me for the Moments of Clarity series. Today, I am joined by my dear friend, Rochelle. Rochelle is a Chief Happiness Officer, and she is also an attorney and happy coach, happiness consultant. So she helps women and men, really anyone who on their journey to happiness and finding themselves and purpose. Thank you so much for being with me today, Rochelle.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited and I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. So, oh my gosh, Rochelle and I know each other for like over 10 years now. And it seems like such a different like lifetime, like from when we first met. Like when we first met, it was when like Twitter was like the thing. Like everyone was on Twitter. We had Twitter influencers. I was working for a cruise line and I met Rochelle through like different social media events, and we like just instantly like connected and always kept in touch throughout the years. So it's been like such a beautiful blessing to see like the journey that life has brought us each, and how it's like kept us together. And she's been such like a huge inspiration and motivation. Like knowing Rochelle, she's just like a ball of like love and light, and that really shines in like everything that she does. And so 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago now that you launched your book, that you released your book?
Yeah, 2018, March 2018.
And I have
Yay.
it right here with my journal. And oh my gosh, it's embarrassing like reading what I wrote in the journal like 2 years ago to now. I was like, wow, like just
Isn't
like,
it amazing to see your growth? That's what I love about journaling because you see your growth in your own handwriting, in your own words. And, sometimes I stand in awe of myself because, especially the seasons when you are confused or you're so doubtful and
mm,
you realize that it all worked out. And so, if you hit another season where you're unsure, it's
mm,
really good to go back and look on those notes and look on the things that you wrote and see that you were able to go through that storm. So you have the capability and the capacity to go through any other storm. So,
yeah,
yeah.
it really is amazing. And when you launched the book, it was just such like perfect timing because, throughout the years that we've known each other, I've been fluctuating back and forth from my career. And I think what I really love about you is, you're like an attorney by like trade, but like you're just such a constant reminder. Like as women, we constantly think we only have to be one thing, like, oh, I'm only an attorney, like I can't do anything else. But you are into like philanthropy, traveling, you launched your happiness consulting, you're a speaker, you're an author working on another book. And it just shows like we don't have to place ourselves in that box or like limit ourselves. And like your book is a constant reminder. As I was looking through it, I actually wrote something down that I was like, whoa, like I needed that reminder of let go of littleness and strive for limitless. And it's true because we just tell ourselves like, oh, well, I'm just a mom, or like this is what I do. We define ourselves by like these identities and these terms, and we are like so much more than that. Like we have the opportunity to like cultivate like whatever we want to call in for our lives. And it seems so simple. Like everything in your book seems like, oh, that makes sense. Like if I appreciate what I have in my life, like I'll get more. Or like, there's something higher. There's a higher purpose that is like working with me. But like in our day-to-day lives, it's just so hard to like keep that in mind, you know?
Yeah. So the thing about it is really about that self-discipline and really tapping into your why. And so you said that quite a bit of things. Ultimately, one of the things that I hope I demonstrate by living my life is that you can create and design a life that you want. But at first, you have to be able to shake off the thoughts or the expectations of other people. And
Mm,
so what happens is a lot of women are so confined by what their parents said they should do or what their husbands want them to do, their friends, what society says about you. But ultimately, you are living your life. It's one, I always say it's only one go around. We
mm,
don't get any do-overs. And the minute you realize that and you step into your power, because when you get, there's a study of older people in hospice. And one of the main things that they said was, I wish I lived a life that was true to myself
mm,
sooner. And so the minute you realize and you wake up and you know that, okay, this is it, one time, I will never be 25 again, I will never be 33 again. So once those days and that time has passed, you can't get it back. So the time that we spend ruminating about what this person is going to say or what this person is going to think, I like to tell my clients, listen, most people aren't thinking about you. They are so consumed with their life that they don't even care what you're doing. So release yourself from the judgment of other people and live a life that's true to you. And in order to do that, you have to be still and you have to really tune into that still small voice, which a lot of us we don't trust it. And the more you trust it, is the stronger it becomes. And so for me, I know over these last 4 years, I've really tuned into my intuition and that spirit, that Holy Spirit for me inside, deep in my gut, where now I can be still and I'm like, okay, what is life trying to show me? What is my life trying to lead me toward? Tune out the noise, not what society said I should be doing at 35, not what society said I should be doing at 28. What should I be doing now that fills me up and makes me feel full and makes me feel good? And if you start leaning into goodness and what it is that makes you feel good, your life starts transforming. And as Kristine mentioned, you could be a variety of things. We live in a day and age. You could be a dentist for 5 years, decide that you don't want to be a dentist, go and be an astronaut, come back, decide that, okay, you want to be a professional golf player. You have the breadth of possibilities and nobody's limiting you but yourself and your thoughts and your mindset. And so, at first I used to think, oh Lord, people are going to just think I am unstable, that I'm just all over the place. But I realized that I like a lot of things and I have a broad bandwidth and I'm very curious. I like to learn. And I'm like, why would I deny myself these things? And I remember 2018 when I announced that I'm now a happiness coach, so many people are like, that's stupid. What's a happiness coach? How can you teach somebody to be happy? That's ridiculous. She's a lawyer. Lawyers aren't happy. But they wouldn't say it to me. They would say it to like my best friends. And then my best friends would come back and tell me. But I was so convicted and I was so clear about what my next move was, my purpose, that I didn't care what the naysayers had to say, because I knew it was my purpose and my gift. And a lot of people will not understand your gift. Your gift is for you, but the gift is for you to share to help other people become better. And so I'm saying all this to say a full circle moment came. Those same exact people who questioned my judgment about being a happiness coach. The year after, last year, I was awarded by the Florida Bar the Quality of Life Award for the Florida Bar, from the Florida Bar, for the happiness work, the well-being work that I have been doing in the community, not only for lawyers, but for the community at large. And that was an aha moment. But if I had sat and waited for people to believe in me, to live my dreams, live my goals, I would have never started. And so those same exact people who were critical of me in the beginning were the same ones on my Instagram page. So proud of you. Congrats. You're amazing. And so you don't need to wait for people to cheer you on. You just have to start on your journey. And people, whether or not they cheer for you or not, it doesn't matter. You need to learn to cheer for yourself. One of my best friends, she was having a hard time. She came up with this business idea and she wanted, like, she almost was trying to force her husband to see the idea, right? And I remember one day saying to her, I said, babe, it's just like if you're going to Orlando. You start in Miami, you get in your car. There are people who you're going to pick up on the journey in West Palm Beach. You're going to pick up people on the way to Orlando at the rest stop, but you don't need those people to get in the car and start the journey. And some people could see the big picture from the beginning, and some people need clues to be tapped in to the big picture. Your job is to get in that car and press the gas and start moving in the direction of your dreams. And the right people, the right passengers, all the right circumstances will fall in line with you getting momentum. And she was just like, true. And you better believe it. Once her husband saw her build a website, sign up for the conferences, he started getting excited and involved. And I said, see, you just had to make a believer of him. He, you know, we always want somebody to cheer us along, and it's great to have support. But listen, sometimes you may not get the support from the people that you want.
Yeah.
But you are going to have to seek support, whether it is from groups. I like what you're doing, Kristine. You're building a community. So there are moms right now who may not have a supportive group of friends who could help them in this season. But guess what? You could go and tap in to Kristine's group, where there are women who are aligned like you, but you can seek out your circle, your community, your network. And a lot of times it is not going to be the people who you would hope, but shake that off, get over it, and move forward with your dreams. You just have to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much of what you said, you know, I see myself, you've been through it yourself, and that's how you're able to reflect on it now and lead other women and other people into this like next level of themselves. Like so much of what you said was exactly like what I was going through. And you know, seasons of growth are uncomfortable. Growth is painful. So
Woo!
yeah, and that's how, you know, your book was like a definitive like season of growth for you. You were coming out of a relationship that you thought like was it, like you thought this was a relationship, this is my person, and then it was just like swept from underneath you. And because I want to say that, you know, it's not all positivity, it's not all gratitude. Like Rochelle is an amazing light, but you know, she has just this way of processing things and taking situations and not being like victimized by them, like finding the power in that situation. Like, let's take this circumstance as a breakup. The man I thought I was going to spend my entire life with all of a sudden tells me he doesn't want to be with me anymore. Like, how am I going to pick up my pieces and move on? Like, what is this teaching me? Like, we often just are like so defeated. And like you said, like when people don't cheer for us, but how do we expect other people to cheer for us if we're not cheering for ourselves? If we don't believe in what we're capable of and in what we're doing, like how is someone else supposed to like be able to like believe in us and support us in that way? And
Exactly.
you know, a lot of it is just like reframing the conversation and your mindset and like choosing happiness. You say this all the time, like everything is a choice. Peace is a choice. Happiness is a choice. Allowing other people to define you and to dictate like your moves, like that's your choice. And you know, it's a debilitating and a handicapped one, because the more you think about what other people are going to think of you. And I totally had those moments. I was like, who the hell am I to start this community? Like, this is just my first child. Like, and she's not even like fully grown. I'm just a new mom. Like, why does anyone have, like, I have no like history or like expertise or like credibility. But then it's like, that is just like the ways in which you try to talk yourself out of doing something that you know is like in your purpose. And like we just have these ways and these different triggers of like sabotaging ourselves from like really stepping into the power. Because like what would it look like if we actually let all of that go and like see what happens? And exactly like you said, like all of the people who are like, oh, that's stupid, like why is she doing that, who is she? And then those same people are like, oh shoot, like she's actually onto something, like she's winning awards for this, like she's changing people's lives, she's speaking, she's writing. And it's so interesting to see that, like how people are like, oh, well, maybe like she's onto something, like maybe she knows something that I don't. And a lot of the time when people are projecting and like judging you for things, it's out of, you know, like insecurities within themselves and like projections of like dreams that they've never realized. And so we have to know a lot of it too in our interactions with people is it's not about us. It's very much about the other person.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, one of my favorite, are you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect. One of my favorites, I'm going to touch on a couple of things. One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements, right?
Yes.
And the second agreement is my favorite. I remember reading that a long time ago. I've never necessarily been somebody who really cares about what people think about me. I mean, I'm saying that in the most humble way possible. I was raised in a household where I was the only child. I had so much attention, so much love. So I've always have a strong sense of self. And I always had like a deep conviction about who I was and what I wanted to do. Even to the point where when I was little, if I'd get in trouble and the school would call, my mom would never say, why did you let the other children do that? She'd say, why did you do it? Because she knew I was a leader and she knew I would always just pretty much march in my own beat. So the thing about the second agreement saying, don't take things personally, right? What others are doing and thinking about you, has nothing to do with you. It is their own story, and they're projecting their beliefs on you. And the minute that you realize that, you release yourself from unnecessary suffering. And so I love that he used the example, whether they're saying you're beautiful or whether they're saying you are an awful person. Don't take any of it personally, because the same people who told you are beautiful are the same people who turn around and tear you down the next day. So you have to have that strong sense of self where you know yourself, separate and apart from what the world tells you. It's great to be affirmed, but there is no better feeling than being able to affirm yourself, because you will always be with yourself. Another thing is, it's your gift. Kristine mentioned how sometimes we have fear about putting out our gifts in the world because we're like, who does she think she is, or the credibility? But listen, there's 7.5 billion people in the world, and there's somebody who needs your gift. And so Kristine, being a new mom, she has now opened up a community to new moms. But there's a mom who is doing exactly what Kristine is doing, but she's catering to women who has teenagers. There are millions of teenagers and there are millions of newborns. So if you are going to stop doing what, and there are children born every single minute of every single day all over the world. So I use that example to say that if you are thinking, okay, well, how am I going to start a mommy community? There are millions of mommy communities, but there are also billions of children. So you have to really think broader. And so many times we are so caught up with what is directly in front of us. And what I love about the internet is that it is expansive. I have people messaging me from all over the world telling me that they bought my book. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? They literally went on Amazon, typed in happiness, typed in happy, my book popped up, and they bought it. Because at the end of the day, everybody in the whole entire world wants to be happy. Mothers all over want to have community. People all over want to know about fitness. People want to know about money. They want to know about art. They want to know about music. We're all human beings, whether you're in Istanbul, whether you're in Kingston, whether you are in Ghana, Nigeria, whether you're in Thailand, we all have similar desires and wants out of life. And so you never know who may need your gift. And I always say this, you are doing the world a disservice if you are keeping your gifts to yourself, because there's somebody who is waiting on you to liberate them. And so even if not for you, why not help somebody else? And I think that helps people shape their minds. And so Kristine mentioned perspective, which is why when I was walking away from that relationship, I was hurt, I was disappointed. Let me tell you something, it is hard when you have a plan for your life and your plan falls apart, especially as somebody who is used to getting things done your way, right? I've always, okay, 2-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, plan. And everything would always go according to Rochelle's plan until it didn't. And so that was my ego. That was my ego feeling like, okay, how dare life not happen how I want life to happen? But sometimes in the midst of this life plan that you have, God, the universe, will shake it up to bring and to give you a better plan than anything you could have ever imagined for yourself. And that is exactly what happened to me. And I remember how resistant I was to change 4 summers ago when I was sitting there in the throes of sadness and disappointment, thinking, how could you do this to me? This is how I pictured my life. It should be that way. And now I look back with so much gratitude that God took me off of that path that I wanted for myself. And he unleashed this new pathway. And so many times we're so focused on that closed door that we overlook all the other doors, the windows opening for us with so many abundant, incredible blessings awaiting us. So
Yeah.
what I will say, because I know we're talking about so many different things in this segment, is that if you find yourself in a situation where you're trying and you've been giving it your all and giving it your best and it is not working, you're getting a lot of resistance, perhaps it's time to reevaluate, and you may be being steered in a different direction. And fear can hold us back, but sometimes the magic lies outside of our comfort zone. And that's why we started off talking about journaling, because you'll be surprised what your journal will start telling you and reflecting to you and repeating to you. So just be open to the goodness that life has to offer. It is so much bigger than anything we could imagine. I've learned to make peace with the unknown, and it is the best thing I've done for myself. I've learned to surrender in the timelines. I don't, like yesterday I had a webinar and a woman said to me, I'm 40, I don't have any children, I'm not married. And I said, I'm 39, I don't have any children, and I'm not married. I said, but the fact of the matter is, I am blooming where I'm planted. I'm going to enjoy every single season for what it has to offer. Because if I'm conditioning my happiness on something outside of me, I won't be happy. And so many of us condition our happiness on what can happen next. When I make 100,000 a year, when I meet the man, when I get married, when I buy the big house, when I buy the Audi A6, whatever it is that you're conditioning your happiness on, listen, be happy today. Choose happiness today, because there's no limit to happiness. You could be happy single, happy with the man, happy with the children. And so if you relinquish and release yourself from that whole limited mindset of this impossibility of having an abundance of joy, you'll be surprised how much happiness starts flowing into your life. So, I mean, Kristine, you know, we could talk all day about random things. So you should, chime in and let me know what you're thinking.
No, what was really coming up for me is just how, like, as women, we're taught to like control certain situations, and it's that sense of control. Like, we want to have the plan, we want to have, because if we don't have plan, if we don't have stability, then we think like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. And it's just like the conditioning, it's what we're used to being taught and like programmed to do, like to have that mindset of, no, I need to, and there's nothing wrong, like you should have goals, you should set visions, but having
Absolutely.
flexibility, I think that we're talking about is like, not limiting. Again, it goes back to like limiting yourself, because if you're only like focused on your plan, but you're not being open to all of the possibilities that the universe has in store for you, you're only set on like, no, this is the guy I'm gonna marry, there's nothing else, like it can never happen. Then like you're, like Rochelle was saying, you're basing your happiness for your life on this person who you can't control. So
Exactly.
I think it's a really important lesson that we balance. We have to have the two, right? We have to have the goal setting, the planning, but also the trust and the flexibility and the surrender, so that we're co-creating a life, along with spirit, universe, God, that we can fully enjoy. And I find like most of the time, like when we're in fear or worry or lack, we're always thinking of things and circumstances that haven't even happened yet. Like we're so worried
Yes.
about the future, and then we're totally missing out on everything in front of us because we're so
Yes.
worried. Like, well, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this goal? And then it's like you're missing the entire life, like planning for something that hasn't even happened yet.
Yes. This year showed us that. COVID has shown us that it has turned the world upside down. Man plans, God laughs. And so 2020 has been a year where I think all of us have been shaken to the core. But what it has shown us is that you are able to adapt. So think about yourself the first month of COVID, of quarantine, where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do it? How am I going to do it? Well, 5 months later, you're doing it. You're alive. You are surviving, which means that change is sometimes good. And sometimes we are so immune to change. We are so constricted that we do not want to try new things. And so what this season has taught us is that, okay, you used to go to work 5 days a week in an office. Okay, now you're staying home. You're still producing. So it shows that you are more capable of doing other things, other new things. And so I normally say to people, you know, a lot of our unhappiness lies in the boredom and the monotony of life. You're living the same day over and over again and calling it a life. And so exercise that I give people, clients, when I'm coaching or speaking, is start trying new things. If you're somebody who is very immune to change and you have a lot of fear surrounding change, start by just changing up the routes that you drive. If you normally go on the highway, go on the road. If you normally go to Winn-Dixie, go to Publix or go to Whole Foods, or go to the Publix 2 blocks away. Even that small act of going in a new store, looking down different aisles, having to navigate a new space, it starts making your brain expand and you start thinking outside the box. But so many of us are confined to this way of just being, not realizing that little small changes, you need to keep learning, you need to keep growing. So it's just like if you always watch CNN, turn on Fox and see what's happening on Fox. If you always read CNN.com, maybe you could read BBC, you know? And so life is supposed to be lived. You should wake up feeling passionate. You should wake up feeling joyous. You know, of course, we have seasons in life where it gets hard. But the fact of the matter is, at any moment, you could always find little glimmers of joy, little silver linings to hold on to, you know? And so my job as a happiness coach is not to help you or deny that bad things happen, or that you could mourn, or that you could be sad, or that you could have fear. You need to be in touch with every single emotion. Happiness lies in truth. And so you are as happy, as honest. You need honesty to be happy. So it doesn't make sense that you're going out in the world pretending, oh, I'm happy, but at home you're crying behind closed doors. No, you need to be authentic, and you need to be very honest about where you are on your journey. Are you feeling good? Are you checking in with yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? How happy are you feeling? What does the happiest version of you look like? How do you get back to that place? And that is where I come in, is that I help people create and cultivate the different tools and techniques for themselves, not what their parents or your brother or your sister said, for you to have the courage to step into what it is you know makes you feel good, and to create a life that you like without the constraints of what people project on you. And so fear is one of those things that it holds us hostage. And in order to start overcoming that little fear, that knowing, oh, I don't want to change. I've been in the job 10 years. I don't like the job. Okay. Have you even gone on LinkedIn and just look on the other job options? Sometimes it's just expanding your mind. Just seeing what's out there. If you want to learn to be a baker, go on YouTube. How do I become a baker? You'll be surprised how just even reading an article or watching 1 3-minute video can literally just blow and expand your mind, right? So, you know, Kristine, you're a perfect example of that. You were in the cruise industry and now you're building a community for moms. And every single year, day, whatever, you can evolve into a different version of yourself.
And I really liked what you said about that, because, you know, we're just taught to like look at what is right in front of us, and just even like a small shift. So like you would recommend, like if anyone is feeling stuck in any area of their life, like a really quick fix of that would just be like, look at another thing, like whatever it is that you're feeling blocked about, just look at it differently. Like it's basically just like repositioning, you know, like repositioning like how we feel, because we just get stuck in ruts and we're like, oh, I feel this way and I just can't get out of it. And just something as simple as like, well, just instead of going on Instagram, go on, you know, LinkedIn, or like just expand your mind and just learn something new. And it's true, that will open us up to like different possibilities, and like getting help and the support from like people, not being ashamed. And like when you said that like happiness works with like honesty, it's true, because we try to say like, oh, well, I'm just gonna like emotionally bypass like this feeling, and I'm just gonna be happy. Oh, I'm so happy. And like we see that all the time on social media, right? Like all these people who are like, oh my gosh, like posting so much beautiful photos, and like you're like, but I know them and they're like super miserable in their lives.
The
And
pretense,
yes, and
the facade.
it really is about feeling every single emotion, sitting with it, and just like being able to work through it and release it. Like that is really the key to peace and balance and harmony in your life. Because often
Yes.
we don't want to sit with it. We don't want to sit with the emotions or the things that make us uncomfortable, because who the hell wants to do that? Nobody does. But
Yeah.
that is the key. That is like a secret ingredient that allows you to shift from like that good to like that great mentality.
Mm-hmm. But you know, too, it's all about vulnerability. And so, you know, I always tell people, I give you permission to take the superwoman cape off.
Yeah.
Women, we feel like we have to be superwoman. We have to be the best mom, the best wife, the best girlfriend, the best friend to our friends, the best daughter, the best cousin. You know what? So I think if more women would start being honest about what they're going through, then I think it would also give other women the permission to talk about what they're going through, right? And so I always say vulnerability is bravery. And so you being able to say, right now, I'm not feeling good, I need a moment, but I know what I probably need to do to get back to my happy place or my place of peace. Or you could very well not know.
Right.
Sometimes not knowing is also okay, because then you can go and seek out the resources or the help that you need to be able to feel okay, right? And so I remember once I shared like, oh, you know, right now, these last 2 months of my life have pretty much been just so hard. I'm so confused. The amount of messages that I got on my DM and my Facebook messages, thank you for being honest. I'm going through that same situation. I just walked away from a relationship. Seeing you be able to heal and make the best of this bad situation, it has given me the courage to move forward. And so, you know what? It's not necessarily just getting the messaging from people, but sometimes when you share your story and you share your testimony, it empowers other people to realize that they too can get through their struggle. And I always say this, that it's very egotistical of any of us to believe that we're the only person going through what we're going through. There's a woman out there with breast cancer. There's a woman out there who just lost her dad. There's a woman out there whose child is autistic. There is somebody who is going through what you're going through or has gone through what you're going through, and they can help you and they can, you know, support you, but they will not be able to do that if you don't share that. And it's okay. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to have it all together. There is magic in the messiness. I will tell people sometimes, I don't know what I'm doing. I am just all over the place, confused. The other day, I was in this house thinking, Lord, if I stay in Miami one more week, I may jump off this balcony. Not literally, but I'd hit a wall. I was tired of being inside. The rain was falling, and I kept it real. And so with that said, I'll tell you, one of my friends, she was heading to Tulum, and she was like, babe, why don't you jump on my trip? If I was sitting there pretending, oh, I'm happy, life is amazing, I'm just in here bouncing off the walls. But it was in the moment of vulnerability where I was like, girl, I am over this. This rain is about to send me over the edge. And she was able to say, hey, I'm heading to Tulum for a couple of days with my nieces. Would you like to join us? Boom. I bought my ticket. I went. I had the most amazing time. It was a perfect reset. I was not pretending that I had it all together or that I was superwoman. No, I told her I am frustrated and I'm tired of looking on these walls. And so that is the beauty of being vulnerable with your feelings, being open and being honest. And I always say you cannot fix what you don't confront. You cannot fix what you don't confront. I couldn't fix that feeling of frustration if I wasn't honest about how I was feeling. If I was putting up pictures on Instagram talking about, oh, I'm just doing beautifully and wonderfully. No, I'd be lying to myself. And so every time I lie to myself, it's just etching away at my self-confidence, my self-esteem, and it's just not good. So I don't lie to myself, and I treat myself how I would want the world and my loved ones and people to treat me. And so you have to also be the energy that you want to attract. So I treat myself well. The universe rewards me by sending people who treat me well. But you have to be honest about that, and it lies in that vulnerability. Take off that superwoman cape and stop with the pretense like you have it all together so that people could rise to the occasion and support you. Because most of us, we need it, especially moms. Especially moms right now, working from home, raising children. It is just a lot. I don't have children, but I have so much empathy for my friends who do, because I know for myself, even just maintaining my emotions, having to keep up with work, being stuck inside is more than enough. It's overwhelming at times. So I can only imagine now adding children to that. You know, it's a lot. So no need to be pretending like you have it all together. None of us do. No, all of us are all trying to figure it out. Every single one of us is trying to figure it out.
No, it's true. And that is such an important message and an important reminder, because women are like, no, I don't want to show, like, we're all about the filtering and the illusion. And I think it's time. It's just time we take those blinders off, and we just need to rise up and share authentically, be vulnerable, and then see like what people like come into our path like for that. And you know, like on my social media in particular, like I've done that. Like I've been like, all right, like this is me, everybody, this is what I'm going through, like this is how I'm moving these days. And it's been such a like an amazing, like not only is it healing for you to like put into words and to just release it and like share, but it's just beautiful, like you said, the lives or the messages that you get, and in such unexpected ways. And the people who will support you and who will reach out to you and the lives that you will impact are like more often than not like the people that you think they would be. Because we also go into like business, or like we go into something thinking like, okay, well, it's gonna be like my immediate friends, it's gonna be my family, and like most of the time it's none of that. Like it's like the strangers and like the random person that you've only spoken to once, or like the person you've been following on social media for years but you've never even spoke to, like all of a sudden hits you up. And it's just like this magical connection, and it's just this like magical way of like the universe like aligning people at the right time, because also everything is in timing, right? So
yes,
yeah, it's just like a really beautiful reminder that, you know, it's okay to just be you. You don't have to put up this illusion or this facade or feel like you're keeping up with people. And
you know who is so refreshing in doing this? Michelle Obama. And that's why the world loves her. So even yesterday, she announced that she's having like a low-grade depression. Apparently, she said it on her podcast. I still need to tune in. But it's refreshing because it's easy to look on Michelle Obama and think she has it all together. She has the amazing president as her husband, handsome, brilliant husband, partner, 2 beautiful daughters, and you're looking at her thinking, oh my God, she has it all together. And so the beauty of her using her gift and being vulnerable is that she's saying, listen, I'm Michelle Obama. I have the world at my fingertips, but I too have moments where I am sad and I'm confused and I am unsure. And, you know, I saw how many people commented on her post and they said, oh my God, me too. I'm having low-grade depression. I am watching this racial tension. I am seeing men be shot down in the street. I am watching mothers at home not have the support. I feel overwhelmed. And it's like she just gave so many people the permission to just really just breathe and to just acknowledge the fact that they too are going through something. And so I like that she uses her platform to be so authentic, and is why people gravitate towards her. People love authenticity, they love vulnerability, they love people who just keep it real. And so there's no perfect life. There's none. All of us are going through our own journeys, you know, and there's a saying like, oh, if everybody threw their problems in the pile and you'd see them, then you just run back and you take yours. And it's so true, because you could just create this narrative that things are bad for you. And then you start thinking about it, you're like, no, it's really not that bad. You're like, what? Stop madness. All you're doing is sitting at home. That's not bad. You could literally be homeless. You could be in a war-torn society where they're bombing up the place as you're taking your wedding pictures, as they did to that lady in Beirut. Anything is possible. But you know, that's why gratitude is so important, because when you start focusing on all the things that are going well in your life as opposed to the things that aren't going well, you realize that you have so much more to be grateful for than you even give yourself credit for. And so gratitude for me is my number one value. I've done the value assessment test. I think most people should do it just to see what your core values are. Gratitude consistently has been my number one. And that truly is why I have the perspective that I do, because I know that the things that I think are quote unquote bad, it could always be worse.
Right.
And so I'm just so grateful for my portion, you know, like no matter what, I'm like, well, I have my health.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning, and because I woke up, I know I have another opportunity to do what I want, or to learn something else, or to heal. And then I look around me and my friends are doing well. They are alive. Kristine is flourishing. You're thriving, you're learning, you're growing. And so I'm grateful. So even when I think about the couple things that I'm like, okay, when are those things going to happen? I just find so much peace knowing that it's, you know, all things in due season. And I focus on what I have right in front of me right now, which is way more than enough. A roof over my head, food to eat, you know, and, you know, this opportunity to share with people who are aligned with our message and our energy. And all of a sudden, the one or two things that I'm like, when is that going to happen? Or how is that going to happen? It just kind of just minimizes. It minimizes. Yeah. So, you know, that is one way how I've navigated my life. And even from a young person, I've been very, very aware of the fact that I am blessed and that at any moment, you know, things could be worse, you know, and so I'm just very fortunate and grateful for what I currently have.
Yeah. No, that's such an important reminder. And it's these simple things. Again, it's like back to the simple nature of just being present, showing appreciation, showing gratitude, just being honest, like coming back to the ways that we've lost ourselves, you know, and all of the materialism and all of the ways that we just like the judgment and these lower level like energies of like hate and jealousy. It's just really like just choosing ourselves again and like appreciating ourselves for like the beautiful people that we are. And it's just like these simple things that will add up and just create like a whole new perspective and life for people. So I think this is all just such an important message. And, you know, I hope that it resonates with everyone who's listening. And so Rochelle's book is still available on Amazon, and make sure to get the journal. And I will put all the links in the comments below on how you can reach out to Rochelle. And she's currently taking consultations for coaching. So I will add all of the links there. And you do everything. You do more than happiness, though. I would say it's like,
oh yeah. So ultimately, happiness is the foundation. Most of us, you want the job to be happy. You want to figure out your purpose to be happy. So I do coaching, whether for single women, on men who are trying to transition to different parts of their career. You know, I do the breadth and width of it. So yeah, I am an all-purpose coach, but my grounding is that I want you to live a full, abundant, happy life. And so, yeah, I help you come up with the breakthroughs to get there.
Yeah. And let me tell you, just in Rochelle's friendship and like every time I'm speaking with her, it's just like a breath. It is like a breath of fresh air. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Like I can relax, because, you know, we tend to put pressure on ourselves and like get caught up in like, well, how is this going to happen? How am I going to do this? And so it's always great to seek support from professionals and people who have figured it out and are still learning as they go. It's just, you know, don't be afraid to ever reach out to someone, no matter how it is. Even if it's a DM on social media, just do it, no matter what.
Agreed.
So thank you so much, Rochelle. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I love you, Kristine, and I'm so proud of you. Blessings on blessings on blessings to you and every single thing you put your hands on.
Oh, thank you so much. I receive it. I receive it all.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thanks
So,
for having me.
thank you.